So, throughout many cultures are many ideas of what is wrong and what is right. And what I really wanted to explore was the nature of sin, which comes from the Scarlet Letter.
Where does sin derive from?
I think it's just part of human nature.
Like, for example, in Scarlet Letter, it was in Puritan society, and the fact that she had sex outside of marriage condemned her. But now that's become a lot more of a norm, and sexuality is a lot more common to be open like that. Ben, so do you think that the idea of sin is changing in our perception, or do you think that whoever is judging us for our sins, be it God or something else, is becoming more liberal as well?
It's becoming more liberal, I think. And in the past, it's been, like in historical times, it's been very conservative, like in the Scarlet Letter. And, but I do think that, based on my faith, that you are judged by God.
Do you believe in sin?
I do believe in sin. I believe that every person sins. There's no perfect person. There's no perfect sin. And I learned from church and other people that all sins are the same. So if you kill someone and if you steal something, they're all the same.
Change over time.
I feel like sin does change over time. So like how we're becoming more secular and less religious. So as I said before, like sin was based the most on like religious like statements. So like as that shifts towards a more secular kind of statements, like sin begins to have a new meaning.
You say you're Muslim. How does that change? What are your ideas of sin within that context?
All the things that are considered as sinful in our religion is like sin for me. For example, going and doing a murder. For example, committing adultery. For example, stealing. All these things are sin for me because they are defined as sin in the religion. So
you say that you believe that adultery is a sin, yeah?
Yeah.
So do you believe that with liberally society, society is becoming more okay with stuff with sex and whatnot? Do you believe that that's bad? Do you believe that God still will judge you for it? Or do you believe that God becomes liberal as well?
Yeah, like obviously society impacts you, but the thing is that in the end you are questioned for yourself. So you have to watch out for yourself, and as far as society is concerned, obviously this is becoming a common thing, which is not really a good thing, but you know what, on your part, you have to be cautious for yourself, because in the end you will be questioned for all your deeds.
Do you believe in the concept of sin?
Not really. Or I believe everyone sins, but I believe it's normal.
So do you think there's any punishments for sin? Or
jail time. I don't believe in God punishing people for sin.
Do you believe in sexuality as a sin?
No.
And why do you think that sexuality is often a difficult topic for people to talk about openly?
Well, I'm not sure. I think it might be something you've been like growing up with being an off-topic thing. I'm from Europe, so I think you can talk about it to everyone, and parents don't get like embarrassed talking about it.
Okay, can you say where you're from?
I'm from Norway.
Can you talk more about how you said that it's like any differences between the U.S. and here as regards with openness?
Well, it's definitely things you should avoid talking about here, and but that might also be because of the rules in this country being stricter than the rules in Europe.
About this though, because I think that's actually a really cool topic for you to talk about.
Okay, what story?
No, just like any examples of how it's looser here.
Well, the first time I was hanging out with my friends here at the mall, I was used to people saying straight up, yeah, he's hot. I would have had sex with him. But here, people were like, hush, you can't say that. And
wait, say it
not like I'm gonna do it.
Say it to him or about him?
About him.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it to him. I sound like a. It's about Frida. So the first time we went to the mall, we're all walking around and stuff, and Frida goes, wow, that's a sexy guy. I wish I could have sex with him. And I was like, Frida, you don't say that here. And she's like, I would never follow through. She's like, is that normal to say here? Yeah, so you just heard me talking about sex and how that's not a sin, but do you believe sex is a sin?
No, I don't.
Are you open about sex with your parents?
With my parents? I mean, well, that's a different story. I mean, I'm definitely open about it with my friends, but your parents, it's not so much because I think they judge me, but because that would just be a really awkward conversation.
Have your parents ever had the sex talk with you?
Have my parents had sex? I'm here. Yeah, they've had sex. I'm alive.
Sex talk with you.
Oh, actually?
Have they had sex? I'm not sure. I don't exist.
What would you say to anyone who told you that sex was a sin?
That's up to them. What other people define as sin and define as wrong is up to them and what they're going to do with themselves. And I really don't care what people think as long as they're not holding judgments against you, and that's all that matters.
Where does sin derive from?
Can you define derive?
Where does it come from? What our ideas of what's sinful and what's bad, where do you think they come from?
Well, with me, I think they come from the Bible and from, like, knowing right from wrong, but I think we get the right from wrong from the Bible also, because I think if it wasn't told for us to be wrong or something, I think if something wasn't told to us to be wrong from the Bible, well, I mean, everybody has their other beliefs, but me, especially, my wrongs or what I think is sinful comes from the Bible.
Do you ever confess or believe in confession at all?
I think a lot with me, it's more bad times or when something happens that I confess and feel guilty and feel like I need to say something or apologize to God Himself.
And when you confess, do you feel any catharsis? Do you feel better about what you've done? Do you feel like you've been redeemed? Or do you feel like the sin is still there, you still did it, and you can't undo it?
I feel like I've been redeemed and I'm given another chance. Especially I feel like God is forgiving and everybody else is forgiving. So I think you can always redeem yourself.
Over time, do you think that what our societal ideas of what constitutes a sin changes?
I think it used to be such a sinful thing, and then we have new testimonies and new Bibles, and sins aren't looked at as harsh and not taken so harsh because God is forgiving. So people disobey a lot of the sins that are out now, and especially sex is the biggest one because everybody is having sex at a young age. Everybody is doing things that people would think is very sinful, especially at ages that we are now.
There was a girl named Hester. She had a daughter that usually pestered her. And then one day she said, "No, I've had enough." I've totally forgotten what this book is about.
I think we're good. Is there anything that you'd like to say about guilt, sin, confession?
Do good and be good.
Jello Beats, holla at me.